What if I told you? One country can deploy force anywhere, as another could sink entire fleets. And one holds enough nuclear weapons. In 2026, the balance of power is shifting. This ranking is based on defense budget, manpower, and trust me, manpower alone doesn't win wars anymore. Number 10, Turkey. Turkey has a long and storied military history, dating back to the Ottoman Empire. And that history operates today. So how is the Turkish military structured? It's divided into three main branches: the land forces, the naval forces, and the air force. Let's take a closer look at each one. The Turkish land forces is the largest branch, with over 350,000 active personnel. Equipped with a mix of Western and domestic hardware, including the Altay main battle tank and the T-129 ATAC helicopter. Turkish naval forces protecting Turkey's vast coastline and maritime interests, a powerful fleet including modern frigates, corvettes, submarines, and as well as a growing number of indigenously produced vessels like the Milgem-class corvettes. The Turkish Air Force is one of the largest and most modern in the region. They fly a mix of F-16 Fighting Falcons and locally developed aircraft like the TAI Herkush trainer and the TFX 5th-generation fighter. Turkey also has several elite special forces units, including the Maroon Berets and the Underwater Offense Group. These units are highly trained and have been involved in numerous operations, both at home and abroad. The Turkish military is a formidable force, with a modern arsenal and a long history of combat experience. They're a key player in the region and will continue to be for years to come. Number 9, Pakistan. In 2026, the global military landscape has shifted. Nestled between a rising India and a volatile Afghanistan, Pakistan has quietly climbed the ranks to become the world's 9th most powerful military. Active personnel, 560,000 in the Army, 70,000 in the Air Force, 30,000 in the Navy, plus reserve. The Pakistan Air Force is currently the talk of the town in global defense. Now a 4.5 generation fighter, featuring AESA radar and the PL-15 long-range missile. The J-10C Vigorous Dragon, Pakistan remains the only export customer for this Chinese powerhouse, their high-end interceptor. The future, keep an eye on the FC-31 stealth fighter. Rumors of induction are growing as Pakistan looks to maintain parity with India's upcoming 5th-gen programs. On the ground, the Pakistan Army is currently battle-hardened and actively engaged. The first large-scale combat use of the Fatah-2 guided MLRS and the Shapar-3 strike drones. The backbone remains the Al-Khalid-1 and the newly inducted VT-4 main battle tanks. Over 2,600 tanks, Pakistan's land power is designed for one thing: stopping a massive conventional thrust from the east, while managing high-intensity counterinsurgency in the west.
The Navy is aiming for a 50-ship fleet to protect the CPEC trade routes.
This includes 20 major surface combatants like the Tugril-class frigates, approximately 170 nuclear warheads. Pakistan's military in 2026 is defined by two things: self-reliance and a strategic pivot to the West. By co-developing tech with China and selling it to the world, they are slowly decoupling their defense from Western sanctions. Number 8, France. In 2026, the global chessboard has changed. With shifting alliances in Washington and a grinding war in the East, one nation is positioning itself as the third way. This is France, the European Union's only nuclear power and its most capable expeditionary force. Today, we break down the 413 billion euro transformation of the French armed forces. France is currently in the middle of the LPM 2024 military programming law. Just last month, France adopted a massive budget boost of 6.7 billion euro extra for the year, targeting a 2026 total defense budget of over 54 billion euro. Moving away from policing operations in Africa toward high-intensity warfare. Budget trajectory. Projections for 2027 show an increase to 54 billion, highlighting our strategic priorities. modernization of the Leclerc XLR tanks, and the mass delivery of the Griffon, Jaguar, and Serval armored vehicles. In 2026 alone, 242 of these vehicles are being delivered. The SIX system, a digital combat net that allows a tank to share a target with an artillery unit instantly.
France is racing to fix its deep strike weakness.
They are currently seeking a successor to the M270 MLRS and developing land-based ballistic missiles with a €1 billion initial investment. Elite Forces, French Foreign Legion, now 9,000 strong and fully equipped with the HK-416F. The Charles de Gaulle is currently leading Orion 2026, a massive 25-ship exercise in the North Atlantic. Orders are officially being placed for the next-gen nuclear carrier to replace the de Gaulle in the 2030s. The Amiral Ronarc frigates, compact but packed with Seafire digital radar, modern French stealth frigate. The transition to an all-Rafale fleet continues. The fleet is the backbone of France's conventional and nuclear strike. France has moved from drone skeptic to drone heavy, with over 3,500 systems now integrated across all branches. 2 pillars. 1. C. 4 Triumphant-class SSBNs carrying the M51.
2. Air Rafale jets carrying the ASMPA cruise missile.
France isn't just buying equipment, they are buying independence.
Number 7. South Korea.
A silent superpower has just secured its spot as the 7th most powerful military on Earth.
South Korea isn't just buying weapons anymore, they're building the world's most advanced hardware, exporting it to NATO.
And preparing for a future where they can no longer rely on manpower alone. But there's a catch. Behind the high-tech sensors and stealth jets, the Republic of Korea is facing a ticking time bomb that could empty their barracks within a generation.
Active personnel, approximately 500,000, though shrinking. Reserves, a staggering 3.1 million, one of the largest mobilization forces in the world. 2026 budget, a record-breaking $47.1 billion, an 8.2% jump from last year.
President Lee Jae-myung's administration has made one thing clear: strategic self-reliance.
With the U.S. demanding allies spend up to 5% of their GDP, Seoul is doubling production, ensuring aren't just a client state, but a global arsenal.
The K2 Black Panther dominates the field. It's so good that Poland is currently spinning up local production of the K2 PL variant this year. The new wheeled K9 variant deploying ERM that can hit targets 60 kilometers away with terrifying precision. The game-changer KF-21 Borame fighter jet in frontline service. This 4.5 generation stealth-influenced fighter is Seoul's answer to the F-35, cheaper to fly, domestically made, and already being eyed by the Philippines for export. South Korea in 2026 is a paradox. It is a military tech titan exporting weapons to the world, yet it's a nation struggling to find enough young people to wear the uniform. As they transition to a high-tech, AI-driven force, the question remains: can machines truly replace the human shield that has held the 38th parallel for over 70 years? What do you think? Should South Korea move to a fully professional volunteer military, or is it time to consider female conscription? Number 6. Japan. With a record $58 billion budget and a push to hit 2% of GDP years ahead of schedule. First up, the Navy, officially the Maritime Self-Defense Force. They don't call them aircraft carriers, they call them multi-purpose destroyers. In 2026, Japan is deploying the upgraded Type 12 surface-to-ship missile. It now has a range of 1,000 kilometers. Over $1 billion this year into the GCAP with the UK and Italy to build a 6th-generation fighter by 2035. 2026 marks the launch of their new Space Domain Awareness satellite. They're watching the satellites that guide the missiles. The 15th Brigade in Okinawa is being upgraded to the 15th Division. More boots, more Type 16 maneuver combat vehicles, and better logistics. Japan is spending $640 million on unmanned drones, air, sea, and underwater. This shield system is designed to create a wall of autonomous sensors and weapons around Japan's remote islands. But it's not all smooth sailing. Japan has 2 major enemies that aren't foreign militaries.
By the end of 2026, they will have a unified Joint Operations Command to sync perfectly with U.S. forces.
What do you think? Is Japan's rapid buildup a necessary deterrent or a risky move for the region? Let us know in the comments. Number 5. United Kingdom. 2026, milk to break, the UK is a titan, boasting the 2nd highest defense budget in NATO, and 2 of the world's most advanced aircraft carriers. You'll see a military in the middle of a high-stakes identity crisis. The Royal Navy is the crown jewel of the UK's global strategy. In Scotland, the shipyards are buzzing. The first Type 26 City-class frigates are nearing completion, designed to be the world's most advanced anti-submarine hunters.
The Astute-class attack sub-program is wrapping up with the final boat, HMS Agincourt, expected to enter service late this year. Meanwhile, work on the Dreadnought class, the UK's future nuclear deterrent, is already $40 billion deep. The Army is undergoing its most radical change in a generation under the Future Soldier program. The Challenger 3 with a new 120mm smoothbore gun that finally brings UK tanks in line with NATO ammo standards. The AX armored vehicle is in the frontline units. By mid-2026, over 250 of these digital scout vehicles should be in soldiers' hands. High-tech sensors, drones, and long-range rockets to hit the enemy before they even see a British boot on the ground. The Royal Air Force is looking way past 2026. The UK, Japan, and Italy launched Edgewing, a joint venture to build the Tempest, a 6th-gen fighter. It's designed to fly with loyal wingman drones and use AI to process more data than a pilot can handle. The UK is also rapidly upgrading its integrated air defenses, fueled by lessons learned from the war in Ukraine. This includes a massive £500 million package for new AI-capable radios and drone-busting tech.
The UK is facing a massive recruitment shortfall, missing targets by nearly 40% in some sectors.
The launch of the Armed Forces Gap Year. It's a bold experiment.
Give young people a one-year military experience with no long-term commitment, hoping they'll fall in love with the service. Is a Tier 1 force that is stretched thin. It's betting everything on high-end technology and deep alliances like AUKUS and NATO. It's a leaner, smarter, and much more expensive machine, but whether it's big enough to deter a major conflict remains the billion-pound question. Would you join the UK's new Gap Year program? And does the Royal Navy really need 2 aircraft carriers? Let's argue in the comments.
Number 4. India.
In February 2026, the Indian government dropped a bombshell, a $94.2 billion defense budget. That's a 15% jump from last year.
The Indian Army is undergoing its biggest transformation since the Cold War. The theme, networking and data centricity. Meet the Zora tank. It's a high-altitude light tank specifically designed to counter threats in the Himalayas. It's fast, agile, and packs a punch where heavy tanks can't breathe.
The Sudarshan Chakra mission is in full swing. Indigenous ATAGs, advanced towed artillery gun system,
and the Dhanush howitzers are replacing aging foreign guns. Swarm drones and loitering munitions, effectively kamikaze drones that give individual platoons their own air force.
In the Indo-Pacific, the Navy is moving fast. They are now commissioning a new vessel roughly every 6 weeks. India now operates 2 full carrier battle groups led by INS Vikramaditya and the indigenous INS Vikrant. They've recently finalized the deal for Rafale M fighters to fly off these decks. The nuclear triad with INS Arigatam, the 3rd Arihant-class nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. 4 new stealth frigates are joining the fleet this year, making India's surface fleet one of the most modern in the world.
The Indian Air Force is in a race against time to fix its squadron gap.
The Tejas Mangwane is finally hitting the squadrons in volume. With upgraded AESA radar and electronic warfare suites, it's the new backbone.
The big project, work on the Ambisa, India's 5th-generation stealth fighter, is the top priority to match China's J-20. The Agni V with MIRV technology. This means one missile can carry multiple warheads to different targets, effectively making it intercept-proof.
India still faces a 2-front challenge with Pakistan and China. Experts point out that while the tech is catching up,
only about 15% of the Army's equipment is currently state-of-the-art. The goal is 30%. India is no longer just buying security, they are building it. From the heights of Ladakh to the depths of the Indian Ocean,
the 2026 breakdown shows a military that is becoming younger, faster, and much more digital. The question is, can the domestic industry keep up with the demand? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Number 3. Russia.
In February 2026, the Russian military achieved something historic, but not the kind of history the Kremlin wanted. For the first time since the invasion began 4 years ago, Russia's advance slowed to just 70 meters per day in its most active sectors. To put that in perspective, that's slower than the infantry advances of the Battle of the Somme in 1914. For 2 years, analysts asked, when will Russia run out of tanks? We finally have a concrete answer. Russia lost an estimated 4,000 to 5,000 tanks since 2022. While they've ramped up domestic production, they are primarily refurbishing old stock rather than building new. OSINT data shows that the recoverable Soviet-era equipment, the stuff that actually works, will be largely exhausted by late 2026 or early 2027. Russia is currently trying to establish a 10-year production line for 2,600 new tanks, but they need that number now. Meat grinder tactics. Without a massive surplus of armor, Russia has pivoted to positional warfare. They can't maneuver, so they just grind. It's not all decline, though. The Russian military of 2026 looks very different from 2022. They've adapted.
Russia has internalized Shahed drone production, making them less reliant on Iran.
They've also introduced a new military specialty, the soldier technologist. We're now seeing drones controlled by fiber optic cables, making them immune to the electronic warfare that previously grounded them.
A major factor in the early 2026 slowdown was a coordinated effort to cut off Russian forces from illegal Starlink terminals. Without that high-speed data, Russian command and control began to stutter.
Finance Minister Anton Siluanov admitted the 2026 budget is already shot to pieces. Russia's budget assumes oil at high prices, but with sanctions and a stronger than expected ruble, they aren't getting the revenue they need. Defense spending now approaches 9% of GDP. For context, the USSR spent about 2 to 3% on the war in Afghanistan before it became unsustainable.
The current conflict in Iran is a double-edged sword for Moscow. It drives oil prices up,
But it risks losing a key strategic partner and forced Russia to internalize its tech even faster. For years, Russia replaced its losses through voluntary contracts. But in January 2026, for the first time, the casualty rate officially surpassed the recruitment rate.
Putin has avoided a second involuntary mobilization since the 2020 may no longer have a choice.
The spring-summer offensive is looming, and the cupboard is getting bare.
So, what's the verdict? The Russian military in 2026 is a paradox. It is more technologically adapted in drone warfare, but structurally weaker in every other metric. Analysts from RUSI and ISW suggest that as conventional options fail.
Number 2, China. Right now, China's People's Liberation Army is at a crossroads. On paper, it's a terrifying juggernaut.
They just announced a 7% boost to their defense budget, pushing it to nearly $277 billion.
but behind the high-tech curtain, there's a massive internal crisis. Since early 2026,
A full-scale political slaughter has gutted the military's top brass. From the rocket force to the Navy, the people meant to lead this force into battle are vanishing. Today, we're breaking down the Chinese military in 2026, the hardware, the internal purges, and the centenary goal that has the whole world on edge. The Great Wall of Steel. The PLA Navy is now the largest in the world by ship count, but it's not just about numbers anymore, it's about quality. China is now operationalizing the Fujian Type 3, using electromagnetic catapults to launch heavy fighters, tech previously exclusive to the US, is widely considered one of the powerful surface combatants on Earth, acting as the bodyguard for these carrier groups. The J-20 Mighty Dragon is no longer a prototype, it's being produced in massive numbers. And in late 2025, we saw the first clear leaks of China's sixth-generation fighter, a tailless, all-aspect stealth design that aims to outmatch the F-22. This is where things get sci-fi. China has bet big on hypersonic tech to neutralize US carriers. This missile travels at Mach 6. In 2026, it's being integrated into H-6N bombers, giving China the ability to strike targets aimed 1,800 miles away before a carrier group even knows it's under attack. Chinese researchers unveiled a prototype morphing missile that actually changes its wing shape mid-flight to maintain stability at Mach 5.5+. The Pentagon now estimates China has over 600 operational warheads. They aren't just building more, they're building smarter, low-yield options for limited conflicts and ICBMs hidden in civilian-style trucks. So, if the tech is so good, why is Xi Jinping panicking? Since January 2026, we've seen an unprecedented purge. Zhang Yuxia, the top military officer, and Liu Zhenli, the operational chief of staff, are out. Over 100 senior officers have been removed or disappeared since 2022. Corruption and readiness. Xi is finding out that billions in modernization funds might have been skimmed by corrupt generals. China's goal is to be a world-class military by 2049, but the real deadline is 2027. What do you think? Can technology replace experienced leadership, or are these purges a sign that the PLA isn't ready for the big one?
Number 1. United States.
In 2026, the United States military remains the most well-funded and technologically advanced fighting force on the planet.
But the mission is changing. From the dunes of the border to the vacuum of low Earth orbit,
The U.S. Armed Forces are undergoing their most radical transformation in 50 years.
Today, we break down the branches, the budget, and the new warrior ethos driving the 2026 National Defense Strategy.
including the National Guard and Reserves, the U.S. can mobilize over 2.1 million personnel.
The Army, transitioning from counterinsurgency to large-scale combat operations. Focus on the new Mobile Brigade Combat Teams, MBCTs. The Navy, maintaining global trade routes with 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers.
Space Force, the fastest growing branch, 30% budget increase this year, focused on satellite protection and the Golden Dome sensor layer. For the first time, the 2026 National Defense Strategy prioritizes homeland security and the U.S.-Mexico border as a primary military theater. The U.S. is pushing European allies to take the lead on conventional defense against Russia, allowing the U.S. to focus on the Indo-Pacific and China.
Mandated by the 2026 NDAA, removing DEI programs to prioritize capability.
A multi-layered missile defense system designed to intercept ballistic and hypersonic threats to the U.S. mainland. Collaborative combat aircrafts. The Air Force is now pairing piloted F-35s with autonomous AI-driven aircraft.
The Army's long-range hypersonic weapon is now entering limited operational testing to close the gap with near-peer adversaries.
$5 billion for 100% operational control of the southwest border. $10 billion specifically for countering influence in the South China Sea. Nuclear modernization. Roughly $60 billion for the B-21 Raider and Columbia-class subs.
The U.S. military in 2026 is a force in transition. Leaner in personnel, but heavier in tech.
Shifting its gaze from the Middle East to the Pacific and its own borders. Whether this pivot ensures peace or invites escalation remains the defining question of the decade.
What do you think of the new Space Force Golden Dome project? Let us know in the comments. Who do you think your top 10 strongest militaries in 2026? Drop your comment below and don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this.
Viper 1-1. Launching missile now. Evasive maneuvers, break right.